This is the local government, 1995. Apparently, the Parliament of Western Australia that claims to be a government and isn't, nothing but traitors, liars and frauds. This Act is redundant. In the bin where it belongs. What I said the other day hasn't sunk into you clowns. You still think local government can operate. No, it can't. The reason being, after the passing of this Act, the Colonial Boundaries Act 1895 shall not apply to any colony which becomes a state of the Commonwealth, but the Commonwealth shall be taken to be a self-governing colony for the purposes of that Act. In other words, the Boundaries Act doesn't apply anymore to state parliaments, governments, whatever else you like to call yourself. So, how does that affect local government? Well, what you're not understanding is the only boundary set by the Constitution. There's two. One by the Constitution, and that is the 12 nautical mile limit off the coast of Australia. Do you understand that, ScoMo? Do you understand that, state premiers? The only boundary that you have any right to legislate inside is the Commonwealth boundary, 12 nautical miles offshore. Don't like that, tough, that's the law. You are not the government, you are parliaments. Only the Governor-General at federal level and the governors of states at state level can put legislation together. So everything you've put together, your acts, nonsense, lies, fraud, and you're ripping off the people. Now, the common law is not decisions of the courts. Only decisions of the High Court form part of the common law. How do we know that? Constitution says so. Supreme Courts of States and Courts of States, do they form part of the common law? No. Henry Lippahar versus the Queen, 1999. High Court ruled decisions of the Supreme Court are binding on the inferior courts. The courts they come from. Not every court in the states, because they would be binding instead of precedent. And then the High Court goes on and says, but the decisions of the Supreme Court of a state do not form part of the common law. There goes your precedent you've been claiming. All the things you've been saying, oh, I'm bound by decisions of the Supreme Court. No, you're not. Stop lying to us. Stop lying to the courts. And stop lying to yourselves. You're not that thick. Now, I read in here in section 69. This is our Constitution. It says that quarantine was removed from the states and vested in the federal parliament, that federation. Whether you like it or not, that's it. So now, you don't have any internal borders. You can't quarantine anybody. So all you state politicians, no matter who you think you are, lying, thieving traitors, you have no authority. It's there in front of you. Now, the second lot of boundaries. You want to know where they are? Walk outside your door and look at the boundary around your house. This one. This boundary. This boundary. That one. That is the only boundary inside. And guess what? Under imperial law, our true common law, Chalice Rule Property 3rd edition, our land is in fee simple. Fee simple alienates it from the Crown. Do you understand that? All you premiers, you know, you're lying to yourselves, lying to the public again, and think you're going to get away with it, and you've got the courts to back you up with your lies, because that's all it is lies. Treason, fraud and theft of our properties. Now, why is it? Because fee simple alienates the land from the Crown, the only authority to go inside the fence. It's alienated from it. What can break that? A warrant issued under the Crown? We don't have any Crown, you removed it. An order issued from a court? We don't have any courts. They're all sitting with quorums. Acta habeas corpus says no single judge can sit in judgment of anybody. They're deemed to be biased. Read it. It's there. Very, very clear. And you still can't understand. So where does that leave you and your local governments? You, your court system. You, your local government acts. Down the toilet where you belong. Right down the bottom of the sewer. That's where you've crawled to in an attempt to turn this country into a socialist dictatorship with no ownership of land. But you're not going to take it. Why? Because we said so. Our court said so and we said so. I would not even go down the road to propose any more laws in relation to our land, because you can't. Only thing you can do is dismiss it. Page 791 of our Constitution. A law made in excess of the authority granted is no law at all. It's wholly void, and we can ignore it whenever we like. And that's what I've been doing. People say, why don't you pay your rates? Why don't you pay them if you think you've got rates? I don't have to. Anybody in this country who pays their rates is one thing: stupid. You listen to this video and go back and pay your rates, pay anything to any council, you're stupid. No fines, no nothing. Don't listen to them, throw them off your property. They can't come on it. Go back to your Boundaries Act. The states can't legislate. Local Government Act is state legislation. They can't legislate in relation to your property. They can't legislate to enter that boundary. They're lying to you. That boundary is set in concrete under imperial law. Land does not get sold from the government. It never does. The Parliament, which purports to be representative of us, all they can do is have a records office of who holds the title. One of these. Lawful document which shows who owns the property. On the back, it's got all the previous owners. Why? Because it's a lawful document. Where's ours? I got mine. Where are yours? When are you going to get a piece of paper that says you own your land? Every real estate agent is selling land. No, they're not. They are giving you a lease without telling you. It's not sale. Not while Landgate and the government, or the Parliament pretending to be the government, states the Crown still owns it. No. Fee simple alienates it from the Crown. Doesn't matter what title you got, what it says all the way around it. If it has two words, fee simple, it has a boundary, it's alienated from the Crown. The government is not the Crown. The Parliament is not the Crown. The Governor of the states is representative of the Crown. He, before Federation, could issue titles. He. Nobody else. In Western Australia, read our Constitution, it says Commissioner Cunningham, on behalf of the Governor, filled out the titles. The Governor had to sign them. Why? Because the land wasn't bought off the Parliament or the government or anybody else. It was bought off the Crown under Chalice Real Property. As soon as you bought it, it's alienated from the Crown. Gone. The Crown can't touch it anymore. What can you do on your property? Every single thing you can imagine. The Act says so. Including lay waste to it. Paint your house pink with purple spots, or put whatever you like over your house. Chuck junk everywhere, as long as what you're doing doesn't interfere with your neighbours. No noise, no dust, all that sort of stuff. And that is the only way a Parliament can pass a law put together by the Governor to allow or prevent you playing up on your property. If you create dust, they can prevent it. Chuck junk on neighbours' property, of course they can prevent it. Make too much noise? Yes, that's good governance. They are petty offences which should go through the Court of Petty Sessions. You know, the local court we used to have, not the bulldust court we got now called the Magistrates Court. I guess if we got a magistracy, we can have a Maggot Straits court. Sounds fair to me. Anyway, let's get back to the truth. Only one who has control over land and the boundaries after federation is the Governor-General. And he must propose any laws in relation to the sale of land. Not the states, not their business. Go read the Act. The right over boundaries was taken from the parliaments of the states at federation, once they were created. And it was given to, look at that, the Commonwealth. Do the states have any rights there? No. Are there residual powers? No. No residual powers. You see, Queen Victoria knew that the parliaments in this country, in the military colonies, were so corrupt. They were flat out passing all these lies that they call laws, lies they call statutes, lies they call anything else. All lies, especially in this state. It took the miners to force Forrest to back down and open the mint up and pay the right amount for gold, because they weren't going to go into the Federation until it was done, and they did. The history of that is inside the Boulder Hall in Kalgoorlie, Boulder. Go and have a look, it's all there, and it's the truth. Now, if the states have no authority over boundaries, they can't create titles, nor can the governors of the states. No, they can't. Not without express permission from a law made by the Governor-General, passed by the Federal Parliament according to the Constitution. There is none. No parliament in this country has any authority over your land. Not under the Boundaries Act even. They can only pass a law to make sure your land is sold to you in fee simple, in accordance with Chalice real property, and your boundary is lawfully established. Now, there's nothing to stop the Governor-General delegating the distribution of titles in the state to the governors of the states, but he can't give it to the government. They're prohibited to dealing with the boundaries. Prohibited. Under the Constitution. Wake up to the fact that the boundary is the sole responsibility of the Governor-General. He can delegate to the states again, and not the states, to the governors of the states, the job of looking after titles. But they can only be fee simple. So any act that you think you've got in your state parliaments that gives you authority over land, you don't have it. You didn't have it at Federation because of Clause 7 to the Constitution. It says on the proclamation of this Constitution, the old entities known as the Australasian Council and the colony ceased to exist. That was 4 months and 25 days before Federation. Oh, look at that. There was no authorities exercisable by the Commonwealth Parliament at Federation. There goes your Australia Act. And it didn't comply with 128. There he goes, the rest of it. Nonsense. Pack of lies like the rest of the things that you people do. Now, welcome to the real world. My land, my title, my boundary. Greg Hipper, get off it. You paid for stolen property. You understand that? It was stolen against our Constitution. You think you can beat that? Wait until this goes to court. You will stand trial. Wake up to yourself, Greg. You're not a fool, you know. And as for the Parliament of this state, you have no control over land. No control whatsoever. The Federal Parliament is the only Parliament that can pass laws in relation to record keeping in relation to land. And if they delegate that to the governor of the states, so be it. But the states themselves can't touch it. Our Constitution says so. It's in there. And that's Clause 8 to our Constitution. And guess what? You can't set a border. Because a border is a boundary. Nothing inside this country You can draw a little line on a map and say, there's a division between states, that's fine, but you can't set a boundary. You can't set a border. The states cannot be involved in anything to lock down the borders in this country. Nothing. Especially when you're quarantining. When this Constitution takes a right to quarantine off the states, purely the federal Parliament, on laws passed by the Governor-General. Why aren't they passed by the Governor-General? Because we don't have one. We have an idiot who won't uphold his office. Won't uphold it. He's an idiot. He knows, and he knows he's going to go to jail for what he's doing. You have to be an idiot to do that. Why wouldn't I call him, oh sir, I think you're making a mistake. No, you know you are breaking the law. You know. You walked away and let the Susan Kiefel, the Chief Justice of the High Court, swear in the Parliament and swear the wrong oath. You allowed it. You should have stopped it. You had the power. And you, so-called Governor-General, you should make sure that every single one of those judges in our courts, High Court and Federal Court, were selected by you, and they swore the lawful oath contained in our Constitution. Not one of them have. We don't have any lawful judges there, and we certainly don't have them in the States. You think I'm wrong? Show me in this book where I'm wrong. Because the States don't have residual powers. They chopped off on the 9th of July 1900 on the proclamation of the Constitution. 4 months and 25 days before Federation. There was nothing carried over into the new Commonwealth. Now, you couldn't carry over any authority over land because you were they took the boundaries off you under the Boundaries Act, and they gave it to the Commonwealth. That's why you've had referendums time and time again, 4 of them, 1974, 1977, 1988 and 99, to try and get control of our land because you didn't have it. You've lied and cheated and stolen off the people. You can't even take land if somebody defaults on their mortgage. You still need an order of the Supreme Court in a case where a jury decides, because nobody else can. Our common law, Magna Carta, Clause 39, states that. And yet you continually break our law. Tax our land? You can't. You can't. It's alienated from the Crown, which is the only authority to tax a land. You can't tax it. And you're not going to. You get that? You may think that you're going to get a republic. You're not. I know for a fact you're not. Pull your heads in before you spend the rest of your lives in jail. I hope this gives you the biggest pain in the neck you've ever had. But wake up. I don't care if someone's running around saying, and lots of people apparently are, that Yap McGowan is more popular than ever. Just goes to show how many stupid donkeys there are in this country. But they're not. He is in Rockingham, where Kim Beazley had his area. The only reason he went there, because look at that, they're Labor supporting, because all those people there have been fooled into believing the Labor Party is for the workers. No, not one party is for the workers in this country. Liberal, Labor, National, Greens is there to change this country, remove our authority and put theirs in there over us and turn us into a socialist dictatorship. I don't care if you're Christian, Buddhist, whatever you think you are, wake up to the fact it is your responsibility. You can't just sit back and say, oh, we don't get involved with that. Well, why not? You want to live in this country? Why not? You don't want to get involved in it? Get out. Go find somewhere else to go. A rabbit hole in another country would be lovely. Goodbye. We want people who stand up for this country. Sure, you want to do your own thing, go do your own thing, but stand up for the country. Stop and paying taxes you don't have to. There's nowhere in here says you can tax our income. Why are you doing it? There's nowhere in here that says you can tax our ability to drive, our ability to have cars. And you tax it year after year after year. For what? And where does the money go? Into companies the political parties own overseas. Time to wake up, people. Time to stand up, be counted, and get rid of these donkeys. Tell your local MP, represent us or get out. Give us our property rights back. Give us our titles back. I don't care if you sold it, it's stolen property. You get rid of it. Get rid of them. The titles don't belong to them. They belong to the people who own the land. Stop real estate agents lying to the people and saying all this land is for sale when it's not. All this land is for lease. Because you never ever own it under your lying, dishonest, deceptive system. Wake up, people. Time to take your land and tell the council, get the heck out of your lives. Because they're bludgeoning parasites, overpaid registered companies, trading companies. If you believe the High Court HCA 11 of 2015 says, if you've got an ABN number, you provide services for money, you're a trading company. They can't overturn it, you're bound by it. Well, how come you're ignoring it? Because you're filthy lying traders. Don't like that? Tough. I'm being nice to you. You ought to hear what I really think, but not on air. I've given up swearing, thank goodness for yous. Pull your heads in. Get a life. Have a lovely Saturday.